All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our weekly show. We call it Three Broke Guys Handicapping, where we review one of the top racing cards from around the United States. Guess which one we picked this week. We will select a 4-race sequence from that track and attempt to come up to a consensus on a pick 4 ticket. Thank you for joining us, and if you were wondering why I'm all dressed up, it's Derby Day. So we were going to review the big card from Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. My name is Rich Sharp, and each week I'll be joined by my friends and racing analysts. He's from Staten Island, New York. Ray Tirado, I know you've been to the Kentucky Derby. What was your favorite Kentucky Derby?
My favorite Derby?
Your favorite Derby?
Probably the 88 Derby, when it came out to a not a good ending, but it was a very exciting race. But winning colors held up 49er.
Oh.
And I actually enjoyed the race, so, although I lost, but I used to be a big fan of 49er, so yeah, 88 Derby. I also like the so last year's, I don't know, last year's Derby was good too, but I would say 88. Actually, 99 Derby, I was there, so I really enjoyed that one. Being there with my friend Joe, so we had a good time. Charismatic won that race.
All right, and you alerted to our other friend and our other racing analyst, our other broke guy, and that's Joe English. Joe, I know you've been to the Kentucky Derby. You talk about it all the time. So what's your favorite Kentucky Derby?
Well, my favorite Kentucky Derby was the one I cashed, Thunder Gulch in 1995, when he paid 25 to 1 after and Ray's going to like this, a nondescript fourth in the Florida Derby. He went off at 25 to 1, and he connected for an all-time great trainer, D. Wayne Lucas. Won one of his derbies that day, and so that was my favorite. But the one being there, the 2 years we went in '99 and 2002 were all great times, and the goal is to get there again next year.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. As I said earlier, my name is Rich Sharp, and just to show you that our program is not a total sausage festival, I wanted to congratulate the connections of Catherine Sophia, who earlier this afternoon captured the Grade 1 Longines Kentucky Oaks for 3-year-old fillies. It was actually in somewhat spectacular fashion as well. So the trainer was John Service, the rider was Javier Castellano, and they won that for the Cash is King LLC. So congratulations to the connections there. As I mentioned on last episode that we were on here, we do have a sponsor for our show. So the Three Broke Guys Handicapping picked up our very first sponsor. I'm going to bring up a YouTube video here to show you my friend's business. It's called Lulu's Baby Stop. And I'm going to present to everyone on this. Awesome.
I didn't realize, Rich, that was one of his characters Lurch from the Addams Family? The big tall one?
I think that is from I'm trying to remember the name of the movie now.
Beetlejuice or
Transylvania?
It's one of the Timothy Burton movies, and I can't remember what the name of the guy is, and what that is.
Nightmare Before Christmas, or
there you go.
Okay.
Oh.
It kind of looked like Lurch from the Addams Family.
No, I do not believe that was Lurch from the Addams Family. I think that was Hulk, and I can't remember what the name of the other guy is. I think it's like Head, and I can't remember. And it'll come to me. So I saw there. I have a friend, and she does make these most amazing creations. Yep. As the name suggests, she makes these items for babies, but Jenny can make anything. And as you saw in that video, she makes superheroes and cartoons and TV characters, and even the best horse on the planet. So Lulu's Baby Stop is online. You can contact Jenny at her Facebook page or her Twitter feed, or you can contact one of the broke guys via Twitter, and we'll put you in touch with her. So I gave her a picture of California Chrome, and now he's up there in my office forever. So if you have a small business and you are interested in advertising on our show, just contact one of the broke guys. And now we're going to turn over to the Twin Spires at Churchill Downs Racetrack in Louisville, Kentucky. And it's the most lucrative race for 3-year-olds in the United States. A brief check of the weather forecast for Churchill Downs tomorrow, and we still have it at 84 degrees, so it's kind of a beautiful day. In the morning, they do have a slight chance for some AM showers, so they are talking about a chance for some light rains in the morning, but still, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. They've got 14 races on tap. There's 7 of them are stakes races. And tonight, we are going to focus on the all-stakes pick 4 that begins in race number 9, and it concludes with the Grade 1 Kentucky Derby in race number 12. Gentlemen, our gates are locked and loaded. We've been excited, waiting for this all year. Shall we get started?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Lots to talk about. Let's go.
All right. First up is race number 9. It is the American Turf Stakes. It is a Grade 2 for 3-year-olds only. The purse is $300,000. There's 13 starters, and they're going 1 mile and a 16th on the turf course. Kind of a tepid morning line favorite at 4-1 here on the rail is Aero Force from the Mark Cassie barn, and he's there in post number 1. Go ahead, Ray, take it away.
All right, the American Turf, gonna be a good race. In the pick 4, this is actually for only for 3-year-olds, so it's like kind of like a turf derby. I like number 9, Camelot Kitten. Second race off a layoff. This is the first time she's gonna actually catch a good hard turf course. The 4 races she's had yielding and good run at. You got the Ramses, the Chad Brown, and Irad Ortiz. They won 27%. And also, my second choice is Converge, number 3. That's the second half of my Chad Brown exacta. He won actually the Grade 3 Palm Beach and had a trouble 4th with
Uh-oh.
Ray, I think we lost the volume on you there, Ray. Can you hear us? Joe, can you hear him?
No, I can't. He cut out. I can still see the picture. I still see him as if he's there, but I wonder if he may just froze. Technology, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, there we go. Well, for the time being,
I thought I heard.
There he is. Ray, we didn't catch you. Ray, we caught you right up until you just started talking about the 3. So you had just started to talk about Converge, but all I heard you say was that you liked a horse named Converge.
Shakabat.
Oh no, you got cut off. We lost volume after you.
I got cut off.
You mentioned Converge and you talked about the Chad Brown exacta, and then the volume just went.
And we lost you. What were you saying? What was it you were saying about Converge just before you got cut off?
Oh, Converge? What, at the end? Or...
No, why don't you just go with what you were going to say about Converge? Start from the beginning.
Converge. His second half of Chad Brown exacta. He won the Grade 3 Palm Beach. He finished 4th, a trouble trip. In the Transylvania, Castellano's up. And I just want to say good luck to my friend Jerry Mack and the Pampa team. That was it.
All right, Joe, over to you and your thoughts on the American Turf Stakes. I'm sorry, Ray, I wrote down the 3 and the 9 for you, then. Is that it?
The 9, the 3, and the 8, yeah.
And the 8, okay.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't get through a recap on the 8.
The 8?
Yeah.
Woodbine Shipper, he won the Transylvania. on the lead. First race at 3. He could sit right outside the Beach Patrol, get the first jump on the closers, and if it's a good pace, a decent pace, it should go a long way. And I wanted to mention 2 horses from California: Beach Patrol, making a stakes debut, and also Dressed in Hermes, who could be caught wide under Mike Smith.
Okay, Joe, go ahead. All right, thanks, Rich and Ray. Yeah, I have a little different opinion than Ray does. I got a chance to watch the Beach Patrol race and the Shahkim Mott. I'm trying to pronounce it like Kurt Becker did, and I think they're the 2 controlling speeds. But I think Shahkim Mott is a need the lead type. The one race he did not win was the one race that he was not on the lead. So I think he's going to go to the lead as long as he breaks well enough, and he may go to the lead regardless of whether he breaks well enough. I watched Beach Patrol. It didn't look like anybody was really in a hurry to get to the lead. He kind of was the only one that made the first move, and he kind of set a leisurely pace. And I think he'll be able to rate a little bit. I think he's a little bit more tactical. So it kind of makes him a little bit more attractive to me. Plus, I know that Rich has mentioned that the turf at Churchill Downs does not necessarily play kindly to front runners. But those are my top 2 choices. Beach Patrol would be my A choice because he ran so well in that race. He finished in under 35 seconds for the last 3 furlongs in that race, going a mile and an eighth, and he's shortening it up to a mile and a 16th. And I think, like I said, he's a little bit more tactical, and I think he can sit right outside of Shahkim Mott and try to run him down. And I really don't see a lot of pace in this race. I could see this race going around 1-2 as merry-go-round. And those 2 deciding it. My third choice was also Dressed in Hermes, and I agree with Ray that there's a short run to the first turn, and he might get caught wide. He might have to use a little early or take back a little further than he wants. And he also was compromised by a slow pace last time. He did get up to win in a minor stake at Santa Anita, but I think he's going to get. He might be third best. He might just be chasing these 2, and this could very well be a merry-go-round race. So my top choices are 4, 8, and 11 in that order. My 4 and 8 are A's and A minuses. Dressed in Hermes is a B. So I will send it over to Rich for his analysis.
Imagine that I'm the one that went so deep. I kind of kept going over and over on this race, and I really came up. Well, I did not come up with much. I was trying to make some tough ones. Shahkim Mott, number 8, is actually my top pick on this one. So this is a serious speed type. It was my Woodbine connection. So for anybody who's been watching the show, you know the tracks that I play are the Southern California tracks. So I have a preference for California horses. And if you don't hear me talking about the California horses, you probably hear me talk about the Woodbine horses. So Shahkim Mott with Roger Affeld and Emma Jane Wilson. She just won one today. I think she was on Catch a Glimpse. Excellent connections. This course, as Joe said, does not necessarily play to the speed types, so you only get about 55% going to E and EP types. Again, 45% going off the pace types, but you do get 34% that go wire to wire. So interesting little dichotomy there. 8, as Joe mentioned, that's the way he's going to go. That's the one way that Shahkim Mott likes it, and he actually hit the rail last time coming down the stretch. Didn't bother him one bit. He was drawing off from the horses that were in that race. So I had Shahkim Mott as my top pick. I had Dressed in Hermes as my second pick. So you've heard it called Hermes here, but there they call him Dressed in Hermes. Stalking type. Janet Armstrong, I'm not so solid on, but Mike Smith likes this horse. Solid on the turf, 5 starts, 3 wins, 1/3. If you toss the dirt effort that was 2 races back, has won 2 in a row on the turf. And had a solid effort, really a really nice solid effort in the BC Juvenile turf that was won by one of those Euro freaks that came over here and took that race. So you've heard me say it already this week. What you have to watch out for is beware these California horses on turf, on Derby Day, and Dressed in Hermes fits that profile. He's one of those California horses. And if anybody thought I was kidding around, Rocket Heat took a race earlier today. So at 8-1. Again, people ignoring those California horses over here for whatever reason. I've gotten burned the last 2 years. I've been talking about it a lot, so I'm trying to make sure it doesn't happen again. The other horse that would fit that profile, Joe just got done talking about it. Beach Patrol, a speed type for Phil D'Amato. This horse actually does have the ability to rate. We handicapped this horse on 3 broke eyes. It was a couple of back. It was when he broke his maiden, and in that race he showed an ability to rate. A horse took off and ran off ahead of the field, and Beach Patrol just sat and calmly waited for him and reeled him in, and then took off and won the race pretty easily. But he's won 2 in a row out here in California. But what I like about this horse is he really fits my profile of an East Coast horse that came out west and then kind of beat up on the West Coast horses. So I had Beach Patrol on there as well. I love Phil D'Amato as a trainer. And again, as I mentioned, originally an East Coast horse who went back and won. So I've actually got a couple of people who finished in the Spiral Stakes, so going on that polytrack to turf. But I'll go to my second page first, where at least I do have one of Ray's horses that was tagged. I did have Converge on here. He really didn't get any help at all chasing Shakamat in the Transylvania. And he needs help. He needs someone to kind of soften up that pace. So I'm not sure if that's Beach Patrol that's going to soften up Shakamat for him today. But maybe he gets that today. I didn't think particularly the trouble that he ran into is that kind of race-deciding trouble. It looked more like the trouble that closers run into at the end of races just about every single time I see him. So I wanted to toss the favorite. Aeroforce really didn't necessarily take it with that. And in the end, just had trouble. I think maybe this is a horse that just likes the grass. Maybe dirt or poly isn't necessarily his thing, and didn't even have all that bad of a race on dirt the one time. His turf record is impressive. He's never run a bad one on the grass, so I would have trouble tossing that horse as well. So I had the 1, I had the 3 on the second page, and believe it or not, back up on my first page, I have the 13 Azar and the 12 Surgical Strike that were all out of that Spiral Stakes. I have to make some contentions with the Spiral. It had if I'm not mistaken, a blanket 5-way finish. And there's, of course, one of 2 ways you can really look at that is wow, look at what a competitive race and how close these 5 horses were. Or the other thing would be that, look how non-competitive these horses really are. They're just good against each other, and they made for a good race, and it was a very competitive race. But is any of the 5 of them actually, worth, considering? So, but the polytrack to turf angle can be productive. Azar, in that race, probably ran the best race out of all the horses in that race. One of those ran Too Good to Lose. I believe it comes from that obscure Todd Pletcher, John Velasquez connection that we've talked about every once in a while. So Azar does have some impressive connections. Again, it was a 5-way blanket finish, and this horse finished second in the 5-way finish. And really ran the best. It was a closer that came up and snuck through and got it at the very end. So Surgical Strike was the other closer that was trying to get up on a closer got ahead of him, and so he was a couple of lengths back. It was a nice finish. It was the kind of finish that you like to see from a horse that's going to be on the turf. So if it breaks down, it comes like that. So I ended up 7 deep in this one. I've got 8, 11, 4, 13, 12, 1, and 3. Looks like Keno ticket.
Yes. We're not that far from the all button now, are we?
Yeah. I think I really like. I mean, I did like. I mean, Shakamat was my top pick in here, and Dressed in Hermes, or that would be my backup pick. And I really like Beach Patrol a lot, so I'd be hesitant in tossing Beach Patrol. The other ones that I mentioned were probably more on the lines of B picks for me.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rich, about when you get 5 horses within like a half a length of each other, it's really hard. When it's hard to separate them, it's like, okay, were they all really that good, or was it all really just some maybe the track brought them all together and brought them all in line? And the other thing about Azar is that he may be the one, if there's anybody who's going to soften up Shakamat, because he's going to be he's marooned out in post 12. If he doesn't go early, he's going to be 5 or 6 wide around that turn, and basically his chances are pretty much gone anyway. So I think it's more likely that the 12 would be in front of the 8 than the 4.
And I actually believe, and the thing with Shakamat is, and I know you said, I believe he can handle pace pressure. He's a fast horse like that. but I think he's battled. As a matter of fact, that Transylvania was a loaded race,
Yeah.
and he handled it very nicely.
No,
Very
absolutely. And like I said, I mean, I watched the race, and he was going to be my top pick until I saw the Beach Patrol allowance, and that's also the three broke guys angle from allowance race to stakes race.
Yep.
And I'm gonna mention one more thing about Aeroforce, and I agree with everything you said, Rich. And if Aeroforce were 8-1 and not 4-1, I could understand. Again, lukewarm favorites, and when you lukewarm favorites, you're gonna have, I mean, the four favorites could win in this sequence, and it would probably pay pretty well anyway, because the first two races are so wide open, and the Derby's always the Derby.
So I can't bring it up on the spreadsheet because I didn't mark my forms that way and things like that. But I wish I could show it to you. I guess my camera probably won't pick it up well enough. I doubt I have got a good high definition camera. But I make comments on my form, obviously, and I'm always circling jockeys and mentioning when they go and things like that. And there's different things that get written on my form, things like speed or two in a row. But one of the things that just started to appear, maybe like in the last 3 weeks, and for anybody who's seen a form before, I'm sure they'll figure out if, well, speed means this horse is fast, and 2 in a row means he's won 2 in a row. But I'd defy someone who's probably not on this show or hasn't watched this show to tell me what 3 with the letters BGA after it means. And then for all anybody who's watching right now, that means the 3 broke guys angle, which Joe just described to you. And you nailed it, Joe, because that's exactly what's next to Beach Patrol's name is the 3 broke guys. It showed up all over it. When I was handicapping today, I was like, look at this, I've got 3 BGA all over the place.
Ray, does your form say 3 BGA near Camelot Kitten?
3 B.
Did Camelot Kitten come out of an allowance race at Keeneland last out, or am I mistaken there?
All right. Well, we've got we got at the very least 3 times 3 times 3, and I'm sure we'll have a good discussion at the end. But let's get over here to race number 10, if everybody's okay with moving on.
Yep.
All right. And I know that Joe's going to be up first here, and once I'm done with a little intro, it is the Pat Day Mile Stakes. This is a Grade 3 for 3-year-olds only. The purse is $250,000, $250,000, going 1 mile on the main track. 14 starters as of when we're talking right now. And we have co-morning line favorites at 5-1. In post number 9 is Fellowship, and again is from that Mark Casse barn. And in post number 12, also at 5-1, is the local guy, Unbridled Outlaw, trained by Dale Romans. Off to Temecula, Joe. Better you than me.
Thanks. To be honest, I don't necessarily like this morning line. Anybody who knows anything about Kentucky Derby Day, anybody who knows anything about American Pharoah, Bob Baffert is a pretty good trainer. And for the life of me, I can't see how American Freedom is going to be 6-1. I think based on that huge speed figure, I can't talk, that he ran in the mud at Santa Anita in the finale on Santa Anita Derby Day, he's going to garner some action. I can't see that horse going up at 6-1. So I think he'll be the post time favorite. I'm thinking more like maybe 3-1, 7-2, somewhere about half of what he is now. And he's actually he's one of my A choices. You can't exclude Baffert. It just is what it is. He may bury these if normally horses improve 2 to 3 lengths on their figures after in their second start, and if he improves that much, he could run a figure that might win the Derby. Obviously, he's not in the Derby, but if that's the case, he could run a figure in the low 100s, and nobody else in this race has even come close to that. So if he improves at all, he's got to be factored in. And again, if you can get 3-1, 7-2, that'd be fantastic. The caveats are it's his first time against winners, which is not necessarily. Baffert can overcome that. That's not really a problem. The other thing is that he earned that 98 buyer speed figure in the mud, and the Tomlinson figure that this horse had is 399. So he was made to excel in the mud. We'll have to see if he's really the real deal on a fast track. I believe he is. He was a $500,000 purchase, and Baffert doesn't play around with those types. Running right from maiden races into a grade 3 stake, there's nothing new for this barn. But I also kind of like the number 6 Sharp Azteca, shipping in from Gulfstream for a very good outfit. Jorge Navarro is fantastic, 31%. The horse is sharp. He loves the 1 mile, the 1 turn, 1 mile distance. He's going to be prominent from the beginning, and he drilled 5 furlongs in 58 and change about a week ago. So he's holding his form. He's probably going to be the pace setter. He and there's another horse inside, Imperial Tail or something like that. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but he's
Imperial Hint.
Imperial Hint. There you go. Thank you for putting it up on the screen. So I think those two will be the likely speed horses. There'll be a bunch of chasers, and I think Baffert's horse will be among those on the outside of those. So those are my 2A picks. If I had to go 3 deep, I'd choose he's a B- pick, but I'd choose Star Hill. Coming out of the Lexington, after a mile, he was within a length in that grade 1, so he gets some class relief today. Broke his maiden at 7 furlongs, so another elongated sprint, and he won that race by 7 lengths. So if he can use that class relief to his advantage, I think he could get up for a piece, and who knows, it's possible he could win it all if for whatever reason the pace collapses in front of him and the Baffert horse isn't what we think he is. So those would be my top choices. 6 and 11 are my A's, and Star Hill would be a B- for me. Unfortunately, the race came up really tough, but you have to make some delineations. So those were mine. Let's send it over to Staten Island. Ray, what do you think of the Pat Day Mile?
Pat Day Mile, well, I take this into 2 different scenarios. I didn't get your analysis before of the other horses because I lost a connection. But probably the 11 American Freedom. Bob Baffert displays him on Derby Day. He just broke his maiden with a big figure. He likes to parade these horses on the big days, and actually this horse followed up with 2 nice 5 furlong breezes, and he looks like the real deal. I mean, we can actually single him if we want, or we can play the spoiler mode of just going deep with some other horses. He should dominate this group of Triple Crown, second flight Triple Crown horses, like number 9, Fellowship. He's been hitting the show spot to Mohaman and Nyquist in the Florida Preps. He drops back here to a mile and facing lesser competition. Also, number 1, Discreetness. He showed very little in the Oklahoma Preps after winning the Smiley Jones. Ungraded stake at the distance. His best races have come when he's allowed to go wide. That's going to be tough here. He's coming from the rail, so jockeys have to make a decision to either lay back and go wide. His horse seems like it to go wide. Number 10, Cock and Loaded. He won the Iroquois last September. Actually part of the lead pack, Juvenile, till he faded. He was only beaten. His first race of the year was the Bayshore. He's part of pace, the money track that Gook and Wood Memorial Day that everybody ran on, and he tired late, so he could a better track. And number 12.
I think we lost him again.
I couldn't tell. Did we lose him?
Yeah, Ray, you there? You out there? Yeah, we kind of lost him again.
I see him.
Yeah, no, the same situation that happened earlier. That his volume cut out, his picture's there as if it's just frozen.
So far I've got him down with, if I'm not mistaken, I have 11, 9, and 10 for him.
11. Well, he mentioned Discreetness, who's the 1.
Oh, you know what? That might be the way I wrote this down. 11.
Yeah, he mentioned Discreetness. He mentioned Fellowship.
The 9.
And he got to Cocked and Loaded, and that's where he cut out.
Okay, the 1. 10. It's Cocked and Loaded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Rich. Before we get, I was just wondering. I don't think you've had a chance to look at Santa Anita's. Have you looked at Santa Anita's card on Saturday?
Nope.
Okay. the only reason
I was gambling all day and reviewing tomorrow for the Derby, and since we weren't going.
Right, and the only reason I ask is because I kind of wonder why Bejarano didn't come with American Freedom, and maybe he's got. I'm assuming he's got a full day's mounts at Santa Anita.
Yeah, he's got maybe something good cooking back home.
Yeah,
I had wondered when I initially saw this, and I didn't see him in this race like that. Since we know Victor Espinoza is there, why didn't Bob Baffert, when they were on the plane together coming out, didn't Bob Baffert sit there and say, "Hey, Rafi is not going to be available. You want to ride? You want to ride this little cheapie I've got."
Yeah, sure. Exactly. I'm not. I mean, I know the reports of the Martin Garcia Bob Baffert, dust up have been widely reported. So I wasn't shocked when that happened, but I would figure that Bejarano might want to show up, and especially with this horse going forward, if he wanted to keep the mount down the road, because after this race he's probably going back to Santa Anita, whatever happens.
Right.
Unless somehow he happens to run huge, and then maybe they're thinking the Woody Stevens going 7 furlongs at Belmont on Belmont Day. Maybe that's a possibility. Give him a break.
That's exactly. I would imagine that's exactly where he's going.
Or God forbid, if he really freaks and runs out of his skin, God forbid he'd try the Met Mile. But
there he is. Ray, you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
Okay, we got you all the way up to. We got the 11, we got the 9, we got the 1, and we got the 10.
The 10, okay. Just one more. 12, I'm by the Outlaw. He was part of the lead pack of the juvenile, but he worked well and done 29th. He didn't run well in the Arkansas Derby, but he was worth a price. Bridal Outlaw, number 12. Yeah.
All right.
That was my last horse.
I got the 12 in there for you.
All right.
All right. Yeah, this is going to go over to me. And I went fairly deep once again. I left that Don Bob Baffert horse all the way down on the bottom of my selections, Joe. So I got to the 4th one. I was going to joke with you and let that. I was going to say, noticing, Joe or Ray, when Joe and I went to Los Alamitos last week, Baffert was the cool 9%, and if you see here, I'm not sure it's something on the 4. He fired back up to his normal numbers.
Yeah, now he's 100%.
He's 100%. I have Cockton loaded as my top horse in this race, so I put that. I wrote down here to go ahead and give him a break. Toss that last race. I watched the replay on that one, and if I'm willing to give Dancing Candy a break because Santa Anita had such a sloppy racetrack, then that racetrack was a dream in comparison to what Cockton Loaded ran on an Aqueduct slot.
Oh, yeah.
Not bad. Before that, he was within 4 lengths of Nyquist in the BC Juvenile. If I was a horse these days like that and I was running around the barn, I'd tell everybody, hey, I was within 4 lengths of him. That's almost, that's less than a second. He's a speed type, Larry Ravelli and Irad Ortiz, so he works like a monster in the AM, so, I mean, he's ready. Ravelli hits 36% when he switches from the sprint to the route angle, so maybe he had this one in mind all along. Again, it's off the 30% second off the layoff, so possibly this is where he was pointing him the entire time. And he does have a Churchill win in an 11-horse race. So to me, that's important when I look at Churchill Downs. I do like to see when they have that win that's there. So.
Yeah.
The second horse I went to, believe it or not, I went back to my roots. I guess, the Scorpion's got to be true to himself, and you guys shouldn't have been shocked to find that Rallis is on my ticket. He was something last week, and maybe it's just going to be a big weekend for O'Neill and Redham Racing. They struck out in the Oaks, but didn't they get some nice money there? Did they come up with? They had Land Over Sea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get the second place. They get the second place money there. So, and again, looking possibly for Redham and Redham Racing. This is a speed type. He had to go east last summer because of Nyquist. It's a bummer when you're not the best horse in Southern California, or you're not the best horse in California. You're not even the best horse in your own barn. So all he did was win the Hopeful at Saratoga. He's had excuses. So he was in the Slop. Then he was in the Breeders' Cup. and then he had the layoff. And he ran well, I thought. I thought of all those horses that ran in the spiral, him and Azar might have, kind of accounted themselves the best. And again, for him, that was off a layoff. So now he's back on dirt, and I like the Gutierrez O'Neill angle. So, and then the other two that I put down here, I could not toss out the Baffert. I kept trying to. I kept saying, Joe and I saw him, and with our own eyes, I didn't think it was all that impressive of a race. I don't know who else was in that race, really. I haven't seen Brown's baby boy come back yet, and there was another horse that was in that race. The other Urton that I actually bet, I haven't seen that horse come back. I don't know if you remember, Joe. The reason I was on the other Urton horse was because of that horse Seventh Sign, and I kept touting him to you. I was like, Seventh Sign, everybody's talking. Well, that horse came back, and he didn't win. So I'm just not so sure. I wasn't so sure that what we saw with our eyes. But then the speed figure just jumps off the page at you. Again, $500,000, owned by Gary and Mary West. This is one of those, toss at your own risk if you're going to leave the Baffert off of there. And then the other one that I put down was Fellowship. All the way down at the bottom, I guess I've got Fellowship here. It's tough to toss a horse that really was just missing the Kentucky Derby. That being said, we've all talked about this a little bit, I think, is sometimes you can put so much importance on what the Kentucky Derby is that you forget to just look down at the page. And what I see with Fellowship is I see a lot of third-place finishes, a lot of second-place finishes throughout his entire career. I mean, he's got 11 starts in his life. He's got 2 wins, so I don't have them all. I've got 10 on the page. The one before this was obviously his maiden score. So he's got 1 maiden win. He's got 1 win in a nice money race. Don't get me wrong. A $500,000 race at Gulfstream is a nice race to win, but it was a restricted race. And so I'm not completely sold on him as the winner of this race. I think he might place. I think he would certainly be in the money threat in the race. I just don't know if he's going to win. But I did have him down here as well. So my top pick is the 10, and then I have the 2 and the 11. And the 9.
Interesting at the end.
Yeah.
There's a lot of numbers going around.
It's going to be interesting at the end.
Wait, let's stop and finish my B. I need to have Fellowship as my B pick here, so. And I didn't even talk about the 12. So, all right, I've got 10, or I've got 2, and then 9, 10, 11 on that one. There we go, and we are on to race number 11. This is the Woodford Reserve Turf Classic. It's a Grade 1 for 4-year-olds and upwards. $500,000, $500,000 on the line. They're going 9 furlongs or a mile and an eighth. 13 starters, and your morning line favorite is in post number 12. Oh, we were discussing this last night. Excuse me. One of my favorites, Big Blue Kitten, going off at 5-2 still. And Staten Island, New York. Ray, the Woodford Reserve, back to you.
Yes, we spoke about this race on Wednesday, and this is part of our pick 3 that we had, so this is going to be part of our pick 4. Got the same opinions. Number 10, I like Tourist. He had a good second in the Maker's Mile. In his first start of the year, he's going to add a furlong here. He goes back to Giroux, who won on him on the front end. He'd probably go back to the same tactics, I believe, and go to the front and try and go all the way. Giroux and Mott click on good 25%. And then the old Warrior, 8 years old, coming off the layoff, Big Blue Kitten. He's found his way into every contention in about all his races. He's in the money 27 out of 30 times. So you like a horse like that, he's going to give you a run for your money. He got 14 wins, $3 million. He is 8 years old, so hopefully he can get some kick on his first race this year. He did win twice off the layoff, but they were against weaker group. So hopefully he can fire as the favorite, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people can have him on the ticket. I like a long shot here, World Approval. He was stirred off the layoff as a 4-year-old, and he won last year the American Derby at Hill Prince. 3 of his 5 lifetime wins are at this distance, he's got a good chance to score at a good price. Lepu and Cassie do pretty well too, like 25%, 30%. Also, I mentioned Bolo from the West Coast. He found a home on the turf. He actually won the Grade 2 Arcadia. He was second in the Kilroy Mile, which we handicapped. That was our first week as the 3BGs. We started handicapping that week on the 12th of March. So remember that one. That's when we started. You could probably put that on our T-shirts. He got a single win, allowance win at 9 furlongs. Slumber, another of the they kind of run together. Slumber and Big Blue Kitten, they go back and forth in the same race, and you win, I win, you win, I win. This is his first race also. He probably seems to be going effective a little longer, so this might be a prep for him, but he can still win. I mean, he's getting the weight shift, like I think Joe mentioned on Wednesday, where we talked about. So this is a tough race. I'd spent a long time on this race, and I came up with those four. And if I had money and good room on my ticket, I'll hit everybody. All right, Joe, this is for you. Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck to everybody out there today, by the way.
We're struggling in this race.
Yeah, well, we've been talking about this race for the better part of 3 days now.
Yeah,
And I know Wednesday we had a lot less time to handicap it, so we've had a little bit of time to look at it. And I spent a lot of time last night on it, and I spent some today. And I actually have changed a little bit, and I like Bolo. And I'm going to what Rich's strategy is, where you take somebody who you think is going to be closer to the front, somebody who's in the middle, and somebody who's going to be towards the back of the pack, so you cover your bases regardless of what the pace scenario is, as long as you have the best horse, and whatever style is going to win is going to win. Bolo seems to be better at middle distances. The one really bad turf race he ran was at the 1.25 miles in the Belmont Derby last year. He's 4 for 5 at middle distances between 8 and 9 furlongs, and the last time he ran against a pretty good speed horse named What Of You, who Rich and I have seen a couple of times. What Of You got away with a nice leisurely pace, and for whatever reason Mike Smith was very patient with Bolo, but Bolo wasn't going to get to What Of You that day because the pace scenario just turned out to be really slow, and Mike Smith was sitting at the back of the pack. So I think Bolo is going to be closer to the pace. Who knows? Could even be on the front end. I kind of think that Giroux Chocolate Ride will probably be on the front end. It's possible, Ray, as you mentioned, that Tourist could be on the front end. He was my second choice, but I'm thinking more. I'm hopeful that they let Chocolate Ride go. Maybe Bolo chases, and then Tourist can sit in the middle of the pack. And just like you mentioned, the extra furlong, which helps. And the only thing I wanted to mention about Tourist is, and I don't think any of us really thought about it until just now. And if you look at Triple Threat, who's right above him in the PPs, it seems as if Jose Lescano, who rides for a lot for Billy Mott, had the choice to choose either Triple Threat or Tourist, and somehow he ends up on Triple Threat. I'm not sure if that. I mean, I know Rich finds significance in that. And I didn't notice it until today, and I said, "Oh wow, that's a pretty interesting fact." Again, the substitute's not bad. Giroux can ride, and he's rode this horse to win before, but it just seems. I wonder if it's telling at all that Lescano ends up on the other Mott as opposed to being on Tourist.
That is, it's funny. I didn't notice that till right now, and I always think of that, and that's a big jockey move.
Yeah, it's not like he's going from Lescano to Manny Franco. Not that Manny Franco is a bad jockey, but he's getting a world-class rider anyway. Yeah. But it's like I said, I wonder if it's telling at all about Tourist or the way he worked the last couple times on the turf at Churchill Downs. Maybe he didn't like the track. Maybe Lescano wasn't comfortable. Or maybe just something about the way that Triple Threat ran that day at Keeneland made him like that horse better. Yeah. And maybe he committed to him right there, and maybe Mott wasn't planning on running Tourist, and maybe that was a late addition. We're not going to know, but like I said, it's at least noteworthy. We've talked about Big Blue Kitten enough. Class of the field. He's won at middle distances off the layoff. I'm much more confident with him, but he is giving weight to Slumber. And the last time he gave weight to Slumber won the Manhattan at 14-1. The race before, somebody named American Pharaoh does he ring a bell with anybody? I think
he hit that double.
I think he was pretty good. Anyway, so like Rich said, don't split kings or face cards at the blackjack table. I would use Big Blue Kitten and Slumber, but like Ray also mentioned, I think they're generally better at longer distances.
Yeah.
And I think Big Blue Kitten overall is the better horse, has a little bit more talent, but I wouldn't split the two. But if I had to go with my A choices, like I said, my A's really, they aren't really A's. This race came up extra tough. They're A minuses for me. I like Bolo a little bit more than Tourist. I think Mike Smith's going to be a little bit closer to the pace. And underneath, I would use you'd have to use Big Blue Kitten and Slumber, and I'm sure that they'll be on our tickets. But if I had to make a choice, I'm gonna learn from Rich's last 2 years, and I'm gonna make sure we include Bolo if we can. Rich, it's over to you.
And I really can't add much. I've got the same 4 horses that Joe's got. I'm looking at my thing right here. So I've got, and not in that order, but I've got Big Blue Kitten and Slumber. So I didn't split the Chad Browns, and I stuck with the class. And as we discussed the other night, I just couldn't get rid of having a couple of speed horses up there. So I really did like Bolo a lot all along. And then you guys, it was interesting. You guys talked me on to Taurus the other night.
Now we're.
He's got a negative jockey.
I'm not trying to talk you off of Tourist. Like I said, I'm surprised because you're usually the king of those.
Oh yeah, and
that's why it's like.
Like I said, you're just pointing out a factual element that I missed, which would be hugely significant to me. 2 nights later, like I said, I wasn't even on it. So I had Tourist down significantly because of who he races against and where he finishes. So when I wrote down Tourist, and it's funny, I put down here Mont Giroux, thinking, wow, what a great combination and things like that, and I realized that, yeah, but he lost Liscano. Okay, so he was a speed type who defeated undrafted, and then he was third behind the Pizza Man and Grand Arch, if you look back there. That last one that he had was off a 6-month layoff, and it was at a G1 at Keeneland, and he finished third. Miss Temple City and Heart to Heart. Miss Temple City looked pretty good that day, and we all know Heart to Heart's a very solid horse.
And the Maker's Mark is a very good prep for this race in general.
And the Maker's Mark is an extremely good prep for this particular race. And Tourist in that race, there was nothing wrong with the way he ran. Miss Temple City, she's a freak.
She just beat her.
Yeah, she beat him. So I liked Tourist like that. Unfortunately, now I'm gonna have to go back and look at my racing forms and find out why the hell didn't I have that circled with the number 9 on it right above it. There's a pair of moths in this race, for God's sake.
And Rich, you usually give us a trivia question about which horse we saw. We saw Tourist lose to Caraconti.
That's right.
At the Breeders' Cup Mile.
We missed it. Right there.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, obviously he didn't run much that day, but
yeah. So on my ticket,
but he was there.
Yeah, on my ticket, I had the same 4, Joe. I had 12, 6, 3, 10.
Mm-hmm. Another tough race.
Yeah, it was a very, very difficult race.
We don't go for the easy six horse fields at Golden Gate Fields, now do we?
Yeah. All right, on to race number 12. If we wait all year for it, it's the Kentucky Derby. They are presented by Yumi Brands. It's the Grade 1 for 3-year-olds only. The purse is $2 million. They're going 10 furlongs or 1.25 miles on the main track. 20 starters, and your morning line favorite at 3-1 is Nyquist in post number 13. Joe, this is it. It's the big one. It's the one we always wait for, and you are up first at the Derby.
It's Christmas morning again.
It is.
Christmas in May. It's awesome. We look forward to this every year when the 2-year-olds start running in August at Del Mar and Saratoga, and probably race starts when they start running at Belmont in July. it's awesome. We've been there, well, at least Ray and I have been there, and Rich, you will get there, I'm sure. It's worth the trip for sure. But as far as betting angle, I want to update the odds. There has been some advanced wagering, about 800,000. Nyquist is the 2-1 favorite currently. Exaggerator Nyquist number 13. Exaggerator is 5-1. He's number 11, and the third choice in the field is the 5 Gunrunner, who is at 9-1 currently. Again, only 800,000 wagered. This race gets a lot more than that in the win pool, so there is a chance that it will change. But again, I just wanted to make sure we updated and we knew where we stood. My top pick is still Exaggerator. He danced all the dances out west, and that Santa Anita Derby was a pretty amazing turn of foot. We're going to find out tomorrow afternoon whether it was just the track that he enjoyed so much, or maybe this horse just really exploded and has come to hand, and maybe he's the one who can take Nyquist down. I think he's going to need to be a little bit closer than he usually is, hopefully somewhere around mid-pack. I don't think if he's 17th or 18th, he's going to really need a lot of help. I mean, Kent DeSormo, like I said, we talked. We were at Los Alamitos, and Kent. We overheard Kent DeSormo in the grandstand saying that he's going to need some help to run down the speed. If he's a little bit closer and the pace is not so moderate, I still think he can run. Maybe he can run him down. Like I said, maybe he came to hand, and maybe that was just his coming out party, and maybe he's even. It's possible. Could he possibly even get better? Who knows? But that move was breathtaking, and he, if he uses those same tactics again, but is a little closer, I think he can win this race. Nyquist, I've upgraded to my second choice. There's really nothing more that we need to say. 7 for 7. He beat the best in the Breeders' Cup from everywhere. Came back to California, won the San Vicente, beating Exaggerator, went to Florida, beat Mohayman, who was the division leader at that point in the Florida Derby at his home track. So I don't know that we can say much more other than maybe analyzing where he would be in the pace scenario. My third choice is Outwork. He was one of two, him and Matt Kinkle, who set a quick pace in the wood, and they came home slow. That track was very tiring, so I'm not going to hold that against him. He was wide throughout, and the trip, they came home really slow. But I think overall he's getting better. My fourth choice, actually, I've upgraded my friend Dancing Candy. I think he's the most likely pace setter. And we're, again, just like with Exaggerator, we're going to find out whether it was the track that cost him in the Santa Anita Derby, or if he's just not a mile and an eighth horse. Maybe he's a middle distance runner. Maybe we'll find out more. But right now he's sitting on the board at 30-1. Outwork is also 27-1, by the way. So was that flop in the slop? Was it really what caused Danzig Candy to run poorly? He's got to be on the lead. I don't see any other possible scenario. He's going to be first or second at the very worst going into the first turn. But those first 4 furlongs are going to tell how long he's going to stick around. And if he can get a moderate pace, he might be able to stick around longer than a lot of people think. And again, he's 30-1, so I'm willing to take the chance. And I will add one more. Sudden breaking news. I kind of wonder if he isn't this year's Frosted, who it's Commanding Curve, Frosted. Oh, if you go back to when Ray and I used to watch the Derby, that's what I'm talking about. Rampage, if you remember those names. Those are horses that come flying at the end and end up getting fourth. They get beat about 2 lengths. I kind of wonder if sudden breaking news isn't that horse this year. Maybe somebody who edges out one of the speed horses in the Tri or in the Super. He had a nice 5 furlong drill at Churchill, and from all workout reports, he seems to be doing well. He seems to be thriving at Churchill Downs. If he gets a fast pace, I mean, there could be any number of closures that could make the winning move. But I just don't know that any of them are really good enough to win the race. But again, somebody's got to be this year's Frosted or this year's Commanding Curve and get a piece of the money from way back. And he's going to be able to save ground. He drew a nice post. and he'll come running late. So my top choices in order: 11 Exaggerator with 13 Nyquist. Those are my top two. They're A minus, B pluses. Again, the Derby's a difficult race, and my B's are 15 Outwork, 20 Dancing Candy, and 2 Sudden Breaking News. Ray, that is my analysis. What say you?
All right. This is the race, the big one. Actually, I'm looking for, like I said Wednesday, a little bit of redemption for Mo Heyman, number 14. He did face Nyquist in the Florida Derby. Nyquist, blew him out the last 3 furlongs. He drifted a little bit wide. They both actually pushed each other out to 4 or 5 path. And I guess he didn't like it, and he just packed it in the track. Who knows? Maybe it just wasn't good enough that day. But I'm willing to get. I mean, I wasn't really on him until I saw a couple of nice breezes of 46-4 and 47-2 at Churchill. I'm like, wow, he might be back. So he was 5 for 5. They do question who he beat in the other races, but I mean, he has gone 9 furlongs twice and won. So I'm gonna take a shot at him. I think he's 12-1 on a fast track again. I gotta mention 13 Nyquist. What can you say? 7 for 7, 2-year-old champ. He's answered every challenge, every question. He comes with his belt, championship belt. He says, "I'm here. Come get me. This is the race we're on." So he's a good horse. I mean, he really convinced me in the Breeders' Cup when he'd been running on the lead, and he drew a really bad post. I think he drew like a 14 or 12 or
13.
13. And he actually circled the field and won the race, so that shows you the quality that he has. So, I mean, I do believe in him. The price is short. We got to try and make some money here. So if he wins, it's good. I mean, and the only question I have is that his campaign this year only had a 7 furlong and the Florida Derby. They went for the money, 2 preps. I really wonder if he has enough bottom to handle this distance. This is a very tough race, and this is probably his hardest race to win. If he does it, the sky's the limit. I want to mention Outwork. He's from the Polish stables out here in Brooklyn. I'm at the bowling alley, and people just raving about him. It's just a home court thing. And but he won the Wood. I mean, he's a big horse. I mean, my friends say he's 17 hands high. He's huge, and he actually went with a very good horse, Matt King Cole, and they went at a very good pace, and they crawled home. I think the buy figure originally was 82, but I think Andy Buy upgraded it to like 90 something. And actually his Tampa Bay Derby was pretty big. He would chase Destin, and Destin won the race. They broke the track record, and like I said before, Destin had a prep race before that. Outwork didn't. I mean, and he was a little behind. But I think he's getting better and better, and he might have a good chance here. My B's will be number 5, Gun Runner. He's actually going to be closer to the rail because the first 4 horses are all closers. So he'll be the first one on the rail. If he can break good, he might have a good clean trip like he did in and he broke his maiden at Churchill also. And I'm sorry, the Louisiana Derby. He was on the rail and he had a good trip. Danzy Candy, he needs to be on the lead. Hey, listen, if they slow down the pace, you never know. He might have enough back on the fast track. And he did run a good buy of 100. Exaggerator, he had a big win on the Saturday Derby. My only question with him is that he had 3 races in the slop that he run very well, so maybe the off track does benefit him. We'll see how he does on a fast track. My man Sam looks like he's getting better. He's peaking at the right moment. He was 8 wide in the bluegrass, and he finished second actually. And More Spirit, grade 1 winner, Los Alamitos. He's actually 3 for 7 with 4 seconds. This is his first time against Nyquist, so he hasn't faced him yet. Then you get the other 3 horses, the Sunbreaking News, Creator, Motom. They come from way back, so there's 20 of them. It's a cavalry. It's a rodeo. All right, Rich. I know you like Nyquist. So you have anybody else?
Let's see. I'm trying to get the last one on there for you. With the Most Spirits 17.
Oh, more spirit, yeah. Those are all Bs, yeah. We'd have to use them, but that's why I mentioned them. It's a big race,
All right, yeah. Over to me. For my announcement, a big shocker, right? I'm gonna surprise everybody by picking on Trojan Nation.
All right.
Okay, Rich, what are you smoking over there?
Yeah, exactly. And you know me too well.
If you pick Trojan Nation, I think we could just end this call and end the show.
My comments on Nyquist specifically are, just don't overthink it. He's undefeated. Yeah. There's a reason he's undefeated. He's got tactical speed, and he showed the ability to sit a trip. So for anybody who said he needs to lead and let that, go back and watch the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He actually got bumped on the backside. He had a very tough trip that day, and he was still the biggest horse, still the best horse in the field. Joe knows because I started screaming for him as soon as he was on the backside. He went to the East Coast, and he defeated the best horse on the East Coast right in front of my eyes in a big crowd in Las Vegas in the Florida Derby. So, again, find the best horse in California. He is the best horse in California. He's going to be tough. The post wasn't too bad for him. He's going to be tough. If somebody is going to beat Nyquist on this day, and I honestly don't think anybody is, it would be a horse that Nyquist has already beaten 3 times, and it's Exaggerator. So the second best horse in California. He's more of a stalker. Joe alluded to it. He's got an explosive kick. When he gets into gear and he gets going, he can really fly. So I'm thinking he has a chance here. The chance he has is if my third selection, which is my B pick for sure, but his main chance is if number 20, which is Dancing Candy, or if number 5, Gunrunner, or someone else hooks Nyquist and forces a really quick pace up front and sets it up for a nice closer, then Exaggerator's got this. But I definitely have Dancing Candy, I have Gunrunner, I have Mohamed, but they are all down on the bottom picks. I do not think they're going to beat either of the top 2 choices there. So again, I've got Nyquist as my top pick and Exaggerator as my second.
Hey, Rich, can I add something?
Yep.
I wanted to, Ray, you brought up Nyquist only having 2 prep races this year. I would be more reticent if he only had 2 races last year, but he ran 5 times last year. So if you recall, if you remember, I'll Have Another did the same thing. They ran him in February. They skipped the San Vicente in March, and they went straight to the Santa Anita Derby. So they gave I'll Have Another a little time in between. In this case, they just happened to have the Florida Derby circled because it was another. He could get another $1 million bonus.
Yeah, true,
But basically, they like I think the O'Neill camp is they are more patient during the year. They'd rather give you that foundation in the prior year and not be so difficult on it during the current year, so that they come into the Derby with a fresh horse.
Yeah, we could save them. Yeah. I mean, actually, we don't know. Uncle Mo's is the first crop, so we don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the one thing we did know about Uncle Mo is that he, I mean, classy horse, very fast, but again, we will. Time will tell. Yeah. Time will tell, and he never really he won the Breeders' Cup like he was a sure. He was a sure thing in the Derby, but he never. I mean, he got to it later in his 3-year-old year when he ran on the turf. He ran, I think he was the Kelso at Belmont, but he won when he put up this ridiculous speed figure.
He had that that condition.
But again, he was full of talent. And obviously, like we were talking about, between the Uncle Mo's and the Tappets, I believe there are 3 Uncle Mo's in this race, and there are 3 Tappets in this race. So you got 30% with just those 2. So he's obviously got a world of ability. We'll see if he can pass on any, the ability to go 10 furlongs on the first Saturday in May to any of his progeny.
Well, do you remember, what was it, there was a sire, there was one sire, I don't know if you remember, they actually upgraded him so he could fit the dosage early in his career.
I've heard that happen a couple times.
Yeah.
If I remember, it was real quiet way
Yes.
back in the day.
Real quiet.
But it was his sire that they changed because he didn't fit the profile, and then after he won, they changed it so that he did.
Yeah.
But obviously, nobody even uses that anymore. It's completely outdated. So we won't even bore anybody with it now.
All right.
Well, for this race they talk about it, so really, only for this race they talk about dosage all this stuff. So.
No, like I said, I haven't seen an article about it in probably 5 years.
Oh.
But anyway.
Wow.
Right. This is our ticket up on the screen.
Okay.
I've been to Vegas recently. This does look like a Keno ticket.
I've figured out, Rich. It's 9 by 9 by 9 by 9 is a $3,200 pick for it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I know we're not going 9 deep in the Derby, but I've obviously exaggerating to make a point.
Somewhere, someone in the audience said, "Now I know why they call themselves the broke guys."
Yeah.
We spend a lot.
Yeah.
Well, actually, sometimes we don't go deep enough. Sometimes and we get short.
Yeah, that's the
That's
Oh my God, Rich, that is I'm not sure that's a Keno ticket or a Powerball or whatever. What?
No, I played Powerball the other night. They don't have this many numbers on Powerball tickets. It's much less complicated.
Yeah, well, the thing about actually,
you know what? 415 million.
Yeah, but
right,
I would cover this ticket.
Let's try and see if we can't start this with where do we have some commonality. Let's get back all the way up to race 9. I obviously had a mess of a ticket with 7 horses going. I'm the and by the way, the M is me. So Rich is
well, yeah, because you can't both be R. That's true.
You can't be R. So Ray is R. And M is
double R for me, Ray Rock.
There you go. Let's just go with it as is.
Yeah, go with it.
Don't waste time.
All right. So it'd be fair to say that it looks like can we include Shakamat without anybody getting?
Yeah.
Looks like Shakamat's on our A ticket.
Yes.
Okay.
What about Dressed in Hermes, or Hermes, as you guys like to call him?
Like I said, I have him as a B, so
You get him as a B, okay.
Yeah, I would. And you have him as an A, Rich, if I remember. Is he an A or is he a B?
Yeah, he was like an A. I think Shakamat was my A, and Dressed in Hermes was my A minus.
Okay, yeah, I had Hermes as the B and Shakamat as the A minus. So
You've got Beach Patrol in there, I see?
Yes.
And I've got Beach Patrol on mine as well. I had him kind of as an A minus.
Okay. Well, why don't we do this? Let's take the 4 horses that are on at least 2 of our tickets. The 3 is on yours and Ray's. The 4 is on yours and mine. The 8 is on all of ours, and the 11 is also on yours and mine, Rich. So why don't we at least start with 3, 4, 8, 9, or 3, 4, 8, 11. Excuse me.
Okay. All right, there's the 3, 4, 8, and 11 on the top line. All right, on to this is the Pat Day Mile.
Right. Using the same logic, it would be 9, 10, and 11.
All right, and on to the Woodford.
Yeah, that looks good, yeah.
Woodford would be the only horse where mine and yours are both everything. The only horse we'd be tossing is the 11 World Approval. So it's 3, 6, 10, 12.
Three, 12, 48 combos.
It's 48 combos, but
with a single.
This is where we get
with a single.
Well,
I mean, we have a single. Do we want to do that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all, but we all mentioned Exaggerator as well.
Right. Yeah.
So if we do that, at least it's 2. So the ticket would be, if we went just the 2 deep, the ticket would be 48. And that's just as is now. If we want to alter or just go with, we can just go with it as is. And
I mean for this big of a day and for what I saw today pay out in the Oaks. The Oaks paid out with that was a favorite in the 3rd race. A pretty substantial favorite, almost catch a glimpse of it. Most of the audience had her, and then you got the second choice in the finale. You got $1,200 in the pick 4.
Mm-hmm. We
saw it last year, American Pharaoh, Joey. I mean, even with him in California Chrome, this thing has paid out with favorites winning that final race. If you can find your way to it.
Well, and not only do we have the favorite, we have the second choice.
Yeah.
Exaggerator is 5-1 right now. So, and I kind of expect that they'll be the first 2 choices. I just don't know what the final odds don't necessarily. I mean, that's just in the win pool. We don't really know.
And again, you're talking about it being the advanced wagering, so that's the more seasoned money. We haven't got $800 like it's a very small pool, and people who bet in advanced wagering, they are a little bit more experienced than the people that are going to show up at the track tomorrow that are going to have a few too many mint juleps. And
oh yeah, they bet by name, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I need some people who are going to bet.
The color, the name, the colors, the
Ray, do you remember
the tail?
I need the USC fans to get in there and bet that in.
People named Sam.
Yep.
Ray, do you remember did you try a mint julep when we were there?
I had one, yeah. This is the closest I come to it. This is a lemon lime ice. So it looks like a mint julep, but not really.
Way too much sugar, man. Way
too much.
I understand that's the presentation. That's a rancid. Ugh.
It's way too much sugar.
Not like that.
Not sugar, yeah.
I tried it once, and I was like, oh. We didn't even. I don't think we finished half of it.
No.
I mean,
that would get you for the whole day. I mean, that would just
get you for the whole day.
Like why?
Brutal.
That's
terrible. Sorry for people in Kentucky who love those things. They're just not for me.
They're just sweet. That's all. Sweet. Very sweet.
Very sweet. Okay.
I might have a Corona.
Yeah, no kidding. Me too. Matter of fact, I might get one as soon as we're done. So, do we want to change anything, or is 48 good enough for everybody?
I'm comfortable. I know I'm comfortable. I remember that. We kind of funded for this. This was our day.
Yeah, I thought actually we were funding for bigger than this.
Yeah, I had thought even bigger than this, but.
If we had one more horse in the Derby, that would be
one more horse in the Derby it'd be 72. No, you're right.
That'd be expensive.
72?
It's 4x3 by 4x3.
4x3, 4x3.
But the point is, who do we add?
Who? Yes, question. Who?
I mean, could we add Dancing Candy? I mean, I know we all mentioned him, but do we really think he's gonna? I mean, I'm hoping he wins, but.
Well, for anybody, I think. Both mentioned Outwork a little above.
That's true.
That's a possibility.
That's true, but I know Rich said he wouldn't bet him with our money, so I don't think we should bet him with his.
So I mean,
just my breath.
I know he laid Mohammed to shelf. So.
Well, yeah, but Ray, I think Rich would bet Mohammed before he would bet Outward.
Okay.
Rich, is that accurate?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
And to be honest, I'm not sure that we need. Yeah, do we really need anybody more in the Derby, or do we need more coverage to get like I said? Yeah. The last couple of years, it hasn't been the Derby that's knocked us out. It's those damn races that we can't seem to zero in just to get to the Derby and things like that. And I think we might have a real strong opinion on these two horses, versus adding additional horses in the Derby is going to cause us to sit there and maybe fizzle out. Let that, if there's additional horses that we need in the other races, do we need them there? Versus trying to, I mean, and Joe, I'll bring it up to you. So I'm with you. I want Dancing Candy too, because other than Nyquist, that's the biggest payout that I'll get from my future bets for the thing like that. Right. I don't think he's going to win. I think the post just did not help him. If he was in Gunrunner's post, if he could swap with Gunrunner, I think he might have a little bit of a different view. He's probably got 50 or 60 feet more to go, maybe than Nyquist does, just on the tracker's view, just because the damn post got there.
The post was a bad number. That was a bad number. Oh, no, big ground.
I was gonna say, I sent out the tweet. Is Danzig Candy big ground? Well, I mean, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, no, heck, if he crosses the finish line first, you're going to celebrate no matter what.
I'll be at the bar mitzvahs singing Hava Nike. Forget it. I'll be up. It will put me up in the chair. I'll be like, go ahead, put me in the chair. I'm fine. Dude, my birthday's 2 weeks from tomorrow. Believe me, I would love to take that ticket and go to Vegas and cash it on my birthday, and probably spend about $1,400 of the $1,500 that would be coming.
I mean, I could just see Denise posting pictures on Facebook. There you are, you're sitting in the chair and things like that, and it's like.
I got the biggest smile on my face. I'll be from ear to ear. I'll be like, by the way, and one more thing. I don't want to be remiss. This is a picture of me and my loving wife at the Derby in 2002, and the reason I want to show this is, like Rich was saying earlier, this is not a complete sausage fest. Sunday is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that could be in the audience listening and watching, to our lovely mothers, Carmen, Connie, and Joanne, and to our loving wives who are also mothers. Every day should be Mother's Day, but we'll recognize you on Sunday. So happy Mother's Day to everybody out there, and I wanted to make sure I didn't forget that.
Awesome. Very nice, Joe.
Mother's Day at Belmont. I'm trying to get that.
Anyway, okay, back to the Derby. Back to this pick four. I'm with you, Rich, and I kind of think maybe we want to, because if we add one more in the Pat Day mile, that would make the ticket 64. Because if we add one in one of the other I'm just figuring it out. 5 by 3. If we add one in the 8th race, or I don't think we need to add one in the Woodford Reserve. I think we got that race covered with the 4 horses that we got. The only question is, do we want to add one in either the turf race or in the Pat Day Mile? I mean, I don't know. It's funny. I'm kind of feeling the same way about American Freedom. Maybe that we feel about Nyquist is that I think I don't know. Like I said, I have him higher on. Ray, did you have him as your top pick as well?
I do, and I also have like horses to beat him.
No. Well, obviously, if we're going 3 deep, we all have horses. I mean, I would even go 3 deep. And there are horses I would want to beat him.
No, he is my top choice. Yes.
Okay, because I'm just wondering if we want to add. Again, I'm not sure how you guys. I know.
Who did you have as the 6? Joe? Who was the 6 here that you have?
What's the horse's name? Sharp Azteca, the horse, the Gulfstream shipper.
Yeah.
From the Navarro barn, who's 31%. Who's 2 for 2. Who's 2 for 2 at the 1-turn mile at Gulfstream, and you're probably going to be, if he's not on the lead, Imperial Hint might be on the lead, because I think Imperial Hint is inside of him, but he might be able to sit outside of Imperial Hint, but I don't know. I'm not sure if they both need the lead types. If that's the case, they could cancel each other out possibly, but that's the other horse that I had there.
We could see him 7 for 7 one day also. I mean, I don't know, 98 bias is pretty strong.
You mean American Freedom?
Yeah,
yeah, except unfortunately he's not going to be able to, he's a 3-year-old, so he won't be able to win the Derby. But
true, I'm sure, yeah.
Actually it's funny because Rich and I were talking about him while your volume cut out. We were actually talking about what we thought Baffert would do with American Freedom if he won this race, and we were thinking the Woody Stevens at
Right.
Belmont. Or like I said to Rich, I was like, even if he wanted to be even more daring, the Met Mile, but I don't think he would try Run Happy. But who knows? That
But the Preakness.
no, nah, 2 weeks, 2 week turn. I don't think he would do
No,
that.
that's
I mean,
right. Yeah. No. 2 weeks.
I guess he could, but
No.
I don't think he would. I think he would
that's
give him the Preakness off and wait for he'd try to do Bayern and go to the Woody Stevens. So I mean, if so, if you guys want to, I mean, again, where would you guys feel more comfortable about adding one if we were to add one?
If I could draw on my page without shutting down my computer, I would write in 3BGA right here, because this is the definition of the three broke guys angle, right? Maiden special weight to OC 75 to grade 3.
And that 58-3 at Churchill is what really kind of drew me to him. And I was like,
down here, oh boy,
that 58-3. But I mean, I just wonder. Like I said, he's been on the lead those last 2 races, and I'm not sure where he's gonna fall. I mean, if Imperial Hint needs the lead, I'm thinking Sharp Aztec is going. I don't think it makes any difference. I mean, you work 58-3.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain he's gonna take them as far as he can go. And again, I know Rich. I didn't get a chance to watch many of the races. Were there a few sprints today? And if there were, did anybody really come from far back, or was there any?
Not from out of the no sudden breaking news. No week no more was dust from the beginning. We never saw any of that, anything like that. So nobody made any sparkling move like that. But Churchill played its usual fairness with that. If you were the better horse, like Anna Karina, and you decided to come off the pace and things like that, there was room to still come off the pace. There was no conveyor belt that just took people to the front.
But I'm thinking about as far as. But did they run any 1-turn miles today? If you recall, because I don't remember.
Hang on 1 second, let me just double check.
Because I'm just wondering if maybe, like I said, maybe the speed profile will work better. Again, can you pull up?
Okay, so race 3 was a 1-turn mile. Hold on a second. So the third, which was an OC 65.
The favorite one, whoever it was.
Yeah. We got that's one. Sure. I think that was the only one.
Okay, can you pull up the profile page for that? Maybe for that race, just to see what we're dealing with.
Yeah, hang on 1 second.
Sure.
Oh, it's on there. Oh, cool. It's actually sharing. Good.
I just don't. I don't want to talk you guys into it if it's not. Yep.
Here we go. 66% to the early place types.
Yeah.
And we do get 34%. I mean, again, typical Churchill.
Yeah. So it's fair, but you can basically win from anywhere. It doesn't really matter. But again, I just don't know. I mean, maybe the turf. I thought the turf race we could probably stay where we were, and if I wanted to add anybody, I would probably want to add in the Pat Day Mile.
The Pat Day Mile, I agree. And I think if we can afford it, if we've got the money in there for the accountant like that, then we can add one more here.
Oh yeah, no. Well, again, if we go 4x4 by 4x2, that's 128 combinations, which is $64. So, and we have that. That's not an issue.
For this pool, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. So I'm thinking just to stay alive, and of course now, God forbid, well, no, I'm not gonna say it. Anyway, so like I said, I know Rich, you were like 7 deep in that race, right? Was that the race you were 7 deep in?
I went 7 deep in so many races, Jimmy.
I'm sorry.
No, I didn't go 7 deep in this race. I went 4 deep in this race. I went 7 deep in the turf race. It was the turf race that you went 7 deep. Okay. I knew it was one of the two. I just would. Yeah, I used Rallies here, and I used Fellowship here.
Mm-hmm.
And
but the other two were and American Freedom
In America, well, yeah, obviously, and I couldn't toss ball.
We have fellowship.
He's watching right behind me.
I think we have fellowship's the 9.
We do, okay.
Yeah.
So we have fellowship on the ticket because both of you
So
mentioned.
between the 5 and the 6, or more than 6.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay. Yeah. I would throw him in. I don't have no problem with that.
You mean the 6?
Yeah, I mean if the 11 falters, I mean, Speed Horse could do well.
Yeah, again, like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch the races, but it sounds like it's playing pretty fair. So it seems as if just the best horse is going to win, regardless
Yeah, right.
of running's time. So, what do you think, Rich?
I like him. I like him. You know, I know when I was handicapping, I went back and looked at it, so I'm taking another look at it right here and let that. So this horse has only had 4 starts in his career. The first time there's a popular name right there, right? There's Zulu, is the horse that got him the first time. So that's one of the horses was on the Derby trail right up until the very end. This second race, you got to look in here. He got bump start, pressured pace. So, I mean, if we wanted to, I'm sure we could go back and watch the race if we wanted to together and things like that. But it looks like he had trouble at the beginning. That's the first time in his career he ever had trouble. And after that, he just said, screw it, I'm not messing around with these horses. And he's been tough. I wasn't familiar with Jorge Navarro, but those numbers are eye-popping right there.
And
He's a good percentage. Oh, yeah, he's definitely good percentage.
The jockey comes along.
Yep,
Yeah.
and him and Zayas obviously get along together, and he said, you know what, if I'm going to Churchill that day, you're coming with me.
And you know, like I said, the bullet over the track really, like I said, kind of just it's like okay.
He was flying. Yeah, and breezing.
Yeah, 58-3. Yeah, that's
breezing.
like I said. I think he'll be in front, and they'll have to catch him. But it is a mile, so it's not as and there's other speed in the race, like Rich was saying, Rallis.
Yeah.
If he reverts back to what he used to do. Again, if we're okay with throwing in the 6 in the day mile, that would be 64. Sounds like we have somewhat of a consensus.
Yeah.
Okay, so the numbers again. Go back to the template, Rich. Like I said, I wrote the numbers down. I just want to make sure I got them right.
1 second. Here, I got them.
Uh-huh.
Here. Okay. Share my screen. There we go.
There we go. 3, 4, 8, 11. 6, 9, 10, 11. 3, 6, 10, 12, and then the 2 favorites in the Derby. Okay, so that's 4 by 4, which is 16 by 4, which is 64 times 2, which is 128 in half 64. Okay. Just making sure my calculations are right. It's 10:30 on Friday night.
Yep. Well, we needed to go a little bit of extra time tonight for anybody who hung in there with us. It's Derby night.
It's Derby time.
Yes. Thank you for sticking with us for 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's gonna be.
It's a beautiful day, and it is it's a.
I wish I
Breeders'
was there.
Cup.
84 degrees, man. I get a good suntan.
It's the Breeders' Cup like card.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 days are there. The quality is amazing, and
wish everybody luck in their bets.
Obviously, the competitiveness is. I mean, a 5-1 morning line favorite in the Pat Day, 4-1 in the American Turf. Pick 4 is going to pay regardless of who wins.
All right. So are we comfortable with this? So go ahead and wrap it up and let these folks get out of here.
Sounds good to me, sir.
All right. So our final pick 4, and we will have this posted up to our blog site, and Joe will post it out to our 3 Broke Guys Handicapping Twitter feed as well. But we've got to start off race 9, 3, 4, 8, 11. In race 10, we're going 6, 9, 10, 11. In race 11, 3, 6, 10, 12. And in the big one, the Kentucky Derby, just 2 deep from the 3 Broke Guys, 11 and 13.
Sounds like a winner to me.
Sounds like a winner to me. All right. That's all the time we have for tonight. If you enjoyed the show, we will be back next week. We really enjoy this, so we're going to get back together next week and take a look at another exciting card. This time it's from Belmont Park in New York, Mr. Torado.
Oh, let's see what stickers we have there. Hold
It's
on.
in your backyard, man. All right.
Let's see.
So for Joe English and for Ray Rock, I'm Rich Sharp. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night, and
Get some good
good luck
races then.
tomorrow. Everybody have a good night at the Derby.
Happy
All
Derby.
right, good luck, guys.
Happy Derby, everybody. Good luck.
Get the Man of War next week. All right. Happy Derby.